start tonight with the subject around electricity, because tonight the Electricity Company of Ghana is in the race against time to avert Dumsor. The MD is sounding confident. It says they will avert a possible load shedding situation after reaching an agreement with the independent power producers to restructure their debt. It follows announcement by the IPPs that its members will shut down their plants in 3 weeks if government fails to meet their demands. They are owed at least $1.4 billion, and government has so far been working around the clock to get them to agree to have these debts restructured. CEO of the chamber, Eliklem Apetobo, says the delayed payments of their debt is stifling operations.
Our conditions or severity of our situation is something that cannot be negotiated. We have done everything possible to manage the situation, but it has gone beyond our control. So really nothing has changed. Our ultimatum to government, that is the June 30th, is still standing. We cannot overstretch ourselves. We cannot stretch ourselves beyond June 30th.
If the payments are not made available, what then is likely to happen?
We have overstretched ourselves. What we are able to do is what can carry us to the end of June and cannot go beyond. So let me say the position stands. There is nothing we could do about it. We have cases in the past whereby anytime we are pressed with time, we approach government in this manner. Government will come in and make some small payment to us. Then we'll go back and say that, oh, let's keep the faith. But I think this case, we have serious cases in hand. Most of our IPPs have defaulted in their loan repayment, their creditors here and there. Pursuing them, the kind of facilities we have with these private lenders, if it is about 1 month to the time, you will start receiving reminders that failure to pay your loan or your loan on due dates, these are the penal clauses for what we have signed for, which we do not have any option. And most of us have defaulted. And this is the case, the situation we find ourselves in.
What would you say to any Ghanaian, an average Ghanaian out there who says, okay, if our powers go out or if there's blackout, we blame the IPPs for it?
This is not something that we expect to happen, but let me say it's a communal labor. Let everyone join hands to impress on government to make the monies available to us to keep our lights on.
Well, today we've been hearing from the managing director of the ECG, Samuel Dubik Mahama, who has been leading the negotiations with the power producers. He's confident Dumsor will be averted.
We've had very, very productive discussions and they would not go off, with all confidence.
So we should ignore all this, we'll go off.
So I would say ignore, because we do owe them. So I would say ignore, but what I'll say is that the conversations are far advanced to avert something like this. And so I can say with all confidence that it won't come to that.
So what have you agreed on currently?
So as I said earlier, there are a few NDAs in place, but let me give you a small whole. We are trying to find a way to make sure that the money expected of us to pay is reasonable and is within our reach. Because what IMF is saying that ring fence legacy debt, but you have to stay current. If those excess and idle capacity charges are still existent, we cannot be current, because we will still be punching above our weight limit. So we need to find a way with all of them at the table to agree on an amount or a tariff that halts these excess payments for a longer period of time, and then we can consider it in a different form for them.
I know as you negotiate, you probably would have said, okay, based on the recoveries made so far, we can now begin to look at a reduction. Have these IPPs recovered the cost of building their plants based on which you're pushing for a reduction?
In fairness, everybody has a different way of how they set up the plant.
Yeah.
Some of them self-financed, so they don't really have lenders that are disturbing them. Others have lenders that are disturbing them. As I said, everybody's problem is different. But holistically, what we have to look at is this. Let's look at Ghana's base load now. When you talk base load, you want to know about the barest minimum of power. Now, if you look at going forward, what would Ghana need in the next 4 or 5 years? You understand? Can we afford to do away with these guys? No. If you look at the current market trend, we cannot afford to not to do away with these guys. I see this as a very unique opportunity for all of us to sit around the table and fix this problem together. Because let's not forget, tomorrow I might not be there. Tomorrow you also will not be there. But somebody else comes to take over and this problem still persists. That means we didn't do ourselves any favors. It's a unique situation where the IPPs understand the situation of the government. ECG understands the situation on the ground. So let's all sit together and get to a figure that works. That would help you with your financing. That would also help you, will help with the lenders of those who brought their money in to help them.
And we can get some further clarity now from the IPPs on the back of what we just heard there from the managing director of the ECG, talking about the progress they've made so far in the negotiations with the IPPs. Thankfully, we can speak to the head of that association, the Eliklem Apetobo, is a chamber of the IPPs. He's a CEO there and joins us on the line right now. Thank you, sir, for your time here on Newsnight.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
We just listened today to the managing director of the ECG say he's making progress. He's confident, based on the conversations they've had with you, that shutting down the plants will be averted at the end of June. Is that a reflection of the conversations you've been having with him and others?
That is the news I'm hearing. If it happens that way, I think we are happy. We do not expect such a situation to happen by June 30th. We are positive there will be a response.
But tell me, give me your sense of how the negotiations are currently proceeding. Has it been positive? Do you expect to reach an agreement?
Well, government sent us the proposal. The proposal was to restructure our debt, which we have rejected. And we have made a counter request asking them to give us a payment plan that will be fair enough to us. That is where we have landed our discussions. I will not say negotiations. That's where we've landed our discussions. ECG is to engage us individually, and I believe they are making good progress, even though they have not touched base with all of us.
We've heard suggestions, and the ECG managing director hinted at this, that there possibly must also be an audit of how much exactly government owes you. Has that been featured strongly in the conversations?
Well, we received that notification from the Ministry of Energy. With ECG, I think our audit or reconciliation is something that we do on a monthly basis. So I don't think that should be anything new or anything that will hold back the payment request or the payment demand. Even if we agreed, or even if that is done, we have a long-term relationship. Whatever difference that may come up can always be settled going forward.
But you're open to an audit nonetheless?
Oh, it's a common business practice, so we are open to it. But we just don't expect that should be a holdback to our demand process.
I want you to define for me in clear terms what it will take while you negotiate to avert the shutdown of the plant at the end of the month.
You know, we've always been fair to the good consumers, or let me say the good people of Ghana, for that matter, ECG. Whatever little that they have given us, we have always kept faith. Good faith, continue to render our services. I believe he can attest to that. So we have requested about 30% of what was due us at the end of April, about 1.4 billion. That should be fair enough to enable our members redeem their repayable loans. And we are all fine to go.
30%. What's
Yes.
that in real value? How much are
That
we
should
talking
be,
about?
that we are talking close to $450 million.
$450 million.
Yes.
So you want $450 million in your bank accounts to avert shutting down the plants at the end of the
Exactly.
month. I'm pretty sure you put this before government and the ECG negotiators in the meetings you've been having. Have they indicated to you that they'll be able to pay you this in the next few weeks before the end of June?
Well, we have not received any feedback since we made the official demand.
But you're still negotiating?
Let me say yes.
Okay, you say the confidence of that. Is this negotiation active and continuing?
Like the MD indicated, the negotiation has to be on, let me say, company to company basis, just because of the variation in our contract terms. So, until it's concluded, we cannot give a firm position on whether we have made progress or we have not.
I'm grateful. Thank you very much. At least we have some clarity on the exact amount the government will have to pay you to avert that shutdown of the plant at the end of the month. And you're listening there to the CEO of the Chamber of the IPPs, Elikplim Petokbo. And you know, the controversy surrounding the energy sector became heightened when the World Bank country director spoke to my colleague George Affe here on the George News channel and talked extensively about the power agreements signed under the NDC administration. Well, the minority in parliament, they've been holding a press conference today and they've been taking on the country director pretty strongly. The World Bank country director criticized the country for doing a poor job in concluding power purchase agreements signed between 2012 and 2023. But the minority says Mr. Laporte is veering off into local politics.
Ghanaians are sick and tired of this unnecessary and flimsy blame game strategy adopted by this government and their hirelings. President Akufo-Addo and his head of the economic management team, Dr. Baumia, must accept responsibility, demonstrate leadership, and find reasonable solutions to the current economic hardship confronting the ordinary Ghanaian on a daily basis. President Mahama's record in the energy sector is unmatched. President Mahama, before leaving office, ensured that we had a comprehensive foothold, i.e., on the generation, on fuel, and on the financial sector. We finally wish to advise the World Bank Country Director, Mr. Laporte, to continue to work as a technocrat and not meddle himself in the field of politics. Mr. Laporte, you are not a politician, and when you are making such unsubstantiated comments, you must bear in mind that it has far-reaching ramifications on this country. The minority will continue to hold its chest high, will continue to defend the track record of President Mahama and the NDC administration because our record is unmatched, is unparalleled, and that is nothing but the truth.
Well, Mr. Junapo was the former Deputy Prime Minister under the John Mahama administration, and he says the administration did nothing wrong in signing those agreements.
Let us educate all. The capacity charges are nothing but standardized and regulated industry tools used by electricity utilities to recover infrastructure expansion costs and development costs. Indeed, the right term is capital recovery. And for your information, even before President Mahama, most of the thermal plants had capacity charges. Just to cite a few examples, Asogli had capacity charges, Tico has capacity charges, Sen Power has capacity charges, Senate has capacity charges, TT2PP has capacity charges. And so capacity charge or capital recovery is not new. But even more importantly, after President Mahama left office, the MPP government, the current MPP government, has signed PPAs that has take or pay or capacity charges embedded in them. You'll recall that President Mahama brought in the AXA plant, which is a 370 megawatt plant. We signed it for 5 years. That was during emergency. Immediately the contract expired around June, July. 2 months after, this current MPP administration signed a new contract for the same plant, extending the years from 5 years to 15 good years. Not only did they extend it to 15 years, if you read the contract contains take or pay clauses or capacity charges.
Well, thankfully, we've heard back from the World Bank country director who says such controversies is just part of the position he occupies.
Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, I will bring my work to Ghana, to a close in a few months. And I must say that it's been a blessing for me and to my family to have been in Ghana in the past 4 years. Talk of controversy, I know I've been at the center of some controversies recently, but that's part of the job. I just wish the media would be a bit more frank and honest in the reporting, but like I say, we work for that and we live for that. I have received tremendous support, Minister, from you, and I am grateful for the love of the Ghanaian people. Personally, I think most of you know I'm from Seychelles, working Prempeh was exiled for over 30 years, so I'm really Ghanaian somewhere. Mr. I've enjoyed a great partnership with you and the government of Ghana, particularly colleagues of your ministry and yourself. As I prepare to leave the country soon, I hope that the restoration of the Ghanaian economy to the pre-crisis level will provide the government with the requisite fiscal space to increase investment in health.
Well, farewell to him as he departs, and that is the World Bank country director speaking there at a speech in his honor as he departs the shores of Ghana. Pierre-Frank Laporte in the eye of a storm, and the minority isn't happy with his comments that has intensified this controversy over the country's power situation. What do you make of that? 055-11-11997. I want to take you back to Parliament now, where the Minority Chief Whip Frank Annodompreh today went all guns blazing, calling out his colleague NPP MP and presidential hopeful Kennedy Ejapon, asking him to focus on his campaign and leave him alone. Mr. Annodompreh says Kennedy Ejapon has been telling people that he has said that their central MP is not a presidential material. Well, he called the press conference today to deny that.
My good friend, the Honorable Kennedy Ejapon, making all manner of allegations against me. But specifically, he's saying that I am referring to him as not fit for president, not a presidential candidate. In fact, he's one of the senior members of this House that I respect. And on many occasions that we've had tense moments between the two sides, he's intervened. And so I have a great deal of respect for him. When he visited my constituency, I went, I paid for the venue, I hosted him. I spoke very highly of him, even though later some of his boys skewed and took part of the video and said that I have endorsed him.
Let's bring in our parliamentary correspondent, Kweku Asante, joins us now. Kweku, so from what I understand, this was a press conference the Majority Chief Whip called, and he's just been narrating there the relationship that he has with Kennedy Ejapon. So how did this get this bad for him now to feel the need to call a press conference and address it publicly?
So, Evans, over the past few weeks, Frank Annodompreh has not made his endorsement of Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia any secret. He said that the Vice President is the best person to lead the NPP. But on the other hand, Kennedy Ejapon is also his colleague in Parliament, who is also seeking to lead the NPP into the 2024 election. He's saying that for the past few weeks, there has been some chatter going around that Kennedy Ejapon has been telling people that Frank Annodompreh, is not only campaigning against him, but says that he is not fit to lead the NPP, he is not even fit to become president. He is not presidential material enough. This is something that Frank Annodompreh says he's been trying to get to know who told Kennedy Ejapon this so that he can defend himself, but he has not been able to do so. And you also know that Kennedy Ejapon is a very maverick politician in terms of how he relates, and so Frank Annodompreh has had some limited options in terms of how he's expected to address this. So he thought that it would be a good opportunity to come to the media, to journalists, and clear the air. So he organized all of us and spoke to us, telling us that he has not said any such thing, and that Kennedy Ejapon should focus on his campaign and leave him alone because he has enough on his table, not to just go around and backbiting against him.
Only for me to hear now I'm not a punching bag. Me being punched by him because in his own estimation, he has heard that somebody says I had said that he's not fit for president. I think it's most unfortunate. First of all, if you hear an allegation, you should have at least called me. Now, I have to speak to you through this medium because several efforts to reach out to him has proved, unfortunately, futile. I feel a bit hurt. I feel very hurt because for anybody who knows me, I don't do politics of attack. Even my opponents, I don't attack them. How much more somebody who is one of our own fold. So I will challenge my good friend. Normally I won't do this. I want to challenge him. If there is anybody that I have spoken to say that he is not fit for president, he should mention the person's name. Then again, I will also advise him. He should leave me. I'm just a small fly, concentrating on my whip job in this difficult parliament. He shouldn't distract my attention. And then he should focus on his presidential campaign bid. And leave me alone. Let me concentrate on my whip job. I have a lot of responsibilities and a lot of job to do. Ordinarily, I would not have responded through this medium. But I hear the thing has gone far and people are making... I've received more than 100 calls today. People are asking me, do you have a beef with Ken in Japan and all that? You want to be president. I didn't ask you to go and contest. So he should simply focus on his presidential bid.
And Kweku, so have we heard yet from Kennedy Japan? Was he in Parliament today?
He was in Parliament. We've tried to get his response, but he hasn't spoken yet. You heard there, Frank Anodom President, he's been trying to reach his colleague to no avail. Of course, we don't know how. We've been asking him to tell us by which medium he has been trying to reach Kennedy Japan. Because today, Kennedy Japan was in Parliament. He was seated right behind Frank Anodom Pre. So some would have said they could have spoken, but politicians speak to each other in very different tones. Kennedy Japan says he does not want to comment on this matters of now, but knowing very well who Kennedy Japan is, we've not heard the last of this, and very soon he may make some comments on this.
Thank you very much, Kweku. You're so listening to News 90s on Joy 99.7 FM. My name is Evans Mensah, and Acting Chief Justice Victor Jones-Duche says attempts were made by some persons to disrupt his relationship with former Chief Justice Kwesi Eninyeboah. This, he insists, did not work, and he continues to enjoy a cordial relationship with the retired judge. The two were tipped for the role of Chief Justice barely 3 years ago, but Justice Eninyeboah got the nod. Justice Duche has since the retirement of Justice Eninyeboah been serving as Acting Chief Justice. Well, he also retires in barely 48 hours, and the ceremony to honor him, Chief Justice designate Gertrude Tokonu has some kind words for him.
Such is my love and affection for this man, and my respect for him, and the sadness I feel today. I ask you to allow me to stand. Thank you. Thank you all for coming to grace the celebration of today in honor of one of the most distinguished persons to have served on our nation's highest court. In decisions such as Board of Governors Achimota School versus Ni Akunote II, Platinum Equities Limited and Lands Commission, judgment dated 20th May 2020. And Martin Alamisi Amidu versus Attorney General, Waterville Holders BVI Limited and Alfred Agbesi Woyome, judgment dated 14 June 2013, to understand the fighter for justice for the deprived in the nation, Injustice Duche.
He's a fighter indeed, and let's bring in our legal affairs correspondent who was there for us and joins us now. Joseph Akable, he became very famous, and his phrase, create, loot and share, so rings pretty loudly in my ear right now. Many, including his own colleague judges, were there and had some kind words for him too.
In fact, they generally centered around words such as that of integrity, independent-minded, fair and strict judge. Reference was made to some of the cases he had handled, one being the Martin Amidu versus Attorney General in Waterville, the Woyome case that coined the phrase create, loot and share. But another case that came up strongly is that of Evans Mensah versus Evans Mensah. It is that case in which the Supreme Court upheld the principle of equality in the sharing of marital property by spouses after divorce, and it's one that has excited a lot of people. But a number of his colleagues, from Justices Bafo Boni, Emmanuel Yodi Kolendi, Gabriel Pomine, all had kind words to say about Justice Jones-Duche.
It is important to state that as a true leader, Justice Duche had confidence to stand alone and the courage to make tough decisions. So on a few remarkable occasions, he solely dissented and stood alone, an important decision of the Supreme Court, and he proceeded to advance very cogent reasons for so doing. A classic example was in Frabina Limited against Shell Limited, reported in 2011, Volume 1 Supreme Court Report, at page 429, where he was the sole dissenting voice. Perhaps at these times, the only thing that mattered to him was the integrity of his action.
Every good judge is going to be remembered in the judgments that he has delivered. And so how can I not say that you will never be forgotten? Because in every facet of the law, every aspect of the law, from thought through jurisprudence, criminal law, everything, everybody who wants to read about you will have something to refer to.
And when you read the reports, you will know that I disagree with him on a number of occasions. But he does it, and he keeps his friendship, he keeps his good relationships, and there is a lot I learned from him.
I have told him that I've prayed away this day. I never wished that this day was going to come. I don't know what his plans are and who he will entrust me to. Otherwise, I feel really orphaned.
I know you deserve this retirement, but like someone has suggested, please write a book. Maybe our names will be mentioned along the line somewhere, so I also take some credit for it. I wish you and your family all the best.
And Joseph, in typical Jones Doche style, he took the opportunity to also comment on some national issues.
The issue of sanitation, high-rising buildings in Accra, as well as indiscipline and corruption, he had to touch on these matters.
I've observed in recent days or years the uncoordinated high-rise buildings in residential areas all over Accra, especially in prime residential areas. Laboni, cantonments, and these go on as if they don't take into consideration the planning scheme of the areas. In Laboni, for example, a mall has been built opposite the Bank of Governor's residence. Bank of Governor lived there, Deputy Governor lived there, but with the building of the mall, they have to change that location into an office. Now, if you go to cantonments, there's a place that has been dedicated as a vice president's bungalow. Opposite it, it has been built some high-rise buildings with Huawei occupying the top floor. Is it prudent for us to have that high-rise building with a technological company just opposite the vice chancellor's official vice president's official residence? Was that a prudent decision?
And Joseph, what has been his relationship with former chief justices?
In fact, he says it has been one of very good working relationship, and some of them have also actually been his very good friends, and specific reference was made to former Chief Justice Kwesi Enin-Yeboah.
Today, I am surprised no bad thing has been said about me. I think I have my bad sides as well, but it's only the Ghanaian hospitality that you are hiding them from me. And so I thank you for all the good things you have said about me. I cannot thank Chief Justice Wood well enough. Most of you who have stayed here for long know the relationship between us. We work very hard. I work for her with dedication. The same applies to Ms. Sofia Akufo. Also work closely with her. And the same applies to Justice Enin-Yeboah. Justice Enin-Yeboah met me in Commonwealth in 1976. I was then in my final year for the LLB. And we are great friends. We have a name for ourselves. Wushu. Okay. But then there were some people who tried to bring some wedge between us, but thanks to God, he kept faith with me throughout his tenure. He even nominated me to represent him in UK in October at the opening of the legal year service. The first time an invitation was extended to Ghana, he nominated me to represent him And quite recently, in April, the two of us traveled to Sierra Leone to sensitize the Supreme Court of Sierra Leone because they are having presidential elections on the 24th of this month. And so thank you, Kwesi Eniyegoa.
And we wish him well. So listening to Newsnight on Joy 99.7 FM, and George Yaffe is here with business. And still ahead right after business, we tell the story of a midwife who helped a pregnant woman deliver her baby boy in a speeding vehicle in the Upper West region.
It's very fulfilling and joyous. In fact, since my 7 years of midwifery, today is my most fulfilling moment because I feel like I have saved a mother at her vulnerable state.
And later, the National Science and Maths Quiz is back. Kumfia Male SHS pulls an impressive 19 points margin ahead of its rival in Kranza SHS as they win their contest with 58 points higher so far in the Bono East regional qualifiers.
Yeah, why Prempe? Yes, no. Claiming they are. We want to meet them. Yeah, want to meet them. Whoever is there. This year we are going to be the first school from Munafo.
And we'll tell you about the big contest between Archbishop Porter girls, Lock and Horns with the Hantaman girls, and that's where George will begin to rub it in. Hello, George. Why are you smiling like that? Yeah, I know you serve. A living God. It's okay.
We're looking at 8, right?
So how would you coin it now?
We're 7, 8. But interesting, the World Bank country director has been responding, and it is interesting.
Yes,
I mean, I would just entreat everyone to just have time and watch the full interview.
Yeah.
And the things he said about even the contest and even this current administration and things that have been done. So just to pick one comment out of it and go hard on him, well, I think it's very unfortunate.
Yeah, and you can find that on myjournal.com, find that on our many social media platforms as well. Particularly, it's on YouTube and Facebook as well. Just watch it for yourself. What do you have in the headlines?
Well, Evans, coming up in business, IMF insists policy measures captured in Ghana's program are protective, irrespective of which administration take over after the 2024 elections, and government close to reaching a debt restructuring deal with the bilateral creditors. We hear from the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business, Allianz Life and Ghana Pay. You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, the IMF has given the firm assurance that policy reforms captured in Ghana's program will be maintained irrespective of the government that takes over after the 2024 elections. There are fears that any new administration that assumes office might push to renegotiate terms under the program. Dr. Lindro Medina is the country representative of the IMF.
The program is quite strong. We are quite confident that it will be implemented as designed. The objectives are clear. It's to restore the macro, to ensure that debt is sustainable, and to promote inclusive growth. This is what the Ghanaian population wants. It's really to see their livelihood improved. And in this sense, we have seen a very strong commitment by the authorities. And let me tell you again, they have really taken very bold and very difficult decisions. On the second topic, I would say, no matter what happens next year, no matter what the result is, the objectives of the program and the policies that are needed remain valid. And there is support across the aisle, and we see support from the Ghanaian people.
Country representative of the IMF, Dr. Lindro Medina. Meanwhile, the IMF staff are expected in town this week to review Ghana's program or track progress made when it comes to Ghana's program with the fund and embark on some stakeholder engagement. They are expected to fly back to Washington, D.C. at the end of next week. Now, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has indicated that government is close to reaching a deal with the bilateral external creditors on restructuring of the country's debt. Now, this is coming after the IMF indicated that government is now expected to reach a deal with these bilateral creditors so the doors can be closed when it comes to this whole program. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has been given more updates on this development.
the Paris Club. Fortunately for us, we were able to get China and France to co-chair the official creditor committee, and that helped ensuring the financial assurances were gone. We should be now looking at the MOU and in terms of bilateral debt treatment that would occur. It might be a flow activity in which we extend the terms of the loans, give us space for that. Then we'll continue to engage private creditors to seek relief on external debt. This, of course, has to do with our Eurobond holders. So that's where we are at.
And that is Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. Now, energy strategist Dr. Suleiman Yusuf is downplaying the impact of oil production cuts on fuel prices of the pumps locally. The Organization of Oil-Producing Countries, OPEC, earlier this week announced a million barrels cuts in daily production to check the declining prices of crude oil. Now, there are fears that this could push prices up further and that could affect us locally, as well as challenges with the Ghana city. Dr. Yusuf, however, insists that that will not be the case because of developments in China.
OPEC cut now would not make that much significant at this moment in time. What will make significant impact to propel oil prices to the heights that they were, that is in the 80s and 90s, will be a robust or buoyancy in the Chinese economy. Other than that, and as we speak now, the Chinese economy, if you look at the manufacturing data for the last few months and even in recent weeks, it is not proven that promising. And China is a significant player when it comes to oil price. So yes, I don't anticipate any jump at this moment in time, Darrell. And the cascading impact on the pump also, I don't think we're going to have that rapid, increment. We are not going to have that much impact on the pump.
And that is energy strategist Dr. Suleiman Yusuf. Now, Chief Executive of the Association of Ghana Industries, Sir Chuma Kwabwa, is calling for a reduction in duties paid on raw materials used in printing and packaging in the manufacturing sector. According to him, this is necessary to cushion local producers and contribute to export development. He was speaking at the opening ceremony of the maiden edition of the ProPac Ghana 2023 exhibition.
When you import raw materials to print, you pay duty on it. But when you import the finished product, you don't pay duty on it. It means that it makes the local printing more expensive than importation. And it's the reason why, even when you go to some of our government institutions, a lot of their printing, they are bringing it from outside. Private sector, same. So many things is printed from outside instead of looking at local production. So we think that this kind of policy is not helping local producers. And if you want to create jobs, if you want to grow the economy, if we want to reduce our dependence on imports, we want to protect our local currency. These are some of the areas we should look at. I think that it's about time to change some of these laws.
Chief Executive of the Association of Ghana Industries, Seth Chuma Kwabwa, to the stock market. And if you're a shareholder in MTN, well, some good news for you, because today it was up by peso to close at 1 Ghana cedi, 10 pesos. Guinness Ghana Breweries was up by 17 pesos and is now worth 1 Ghana cedi, 93 pesos. So some good news there for investors of MTN Ghana and also Guinness Ghana Brewers Limited. And that's all for business on the News Night. Back to you, Evans.
And George, thank you very much for business. I'm pretty sure you're in touch with the World Bank country director. Have you spoken to him since the controversy erupted?
Not really, but to his team, they think that, well, it's part of, it's bound to happen that not everything that the bank would express an opinion on that might have all the interested parties being excited. So it was expected when some of these comments that he actually expressed on the economy, it has to do with the current administration, of course, and also certain things that were done by the past administration. So they were expecting some backlash or different views being expressed on some of the things that he had to say on the economy as we speak right now, and also things that have been done in the past event.
Well, we wish him well as he departs. Apparently, that interview was a farewell interview. Did you know that at the time?
I knew he was going. Okay. And so when I asked him, he was like, "Oh, you know about it?" I said, "Yes, I know about it."
Okay. Joe, thank you very much. Now, let's take you to the Upper West region where Fatima Adams, she's a midwife. She's done the job for, 7 years. Now, before that fateful day, She has only read it in books and had it on in conversations, but never has it occurred to her that she will one day be part of the storyline. A pregnant woman who joined a commercial vehicle Fatima was on midway showed signs of labor and started screaming for help. Midwife Adams Fatima felt her pain and voluntarily moved in to help her deliver a bouncing baby boy on the speeding vehicle. Now, Joy News' Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam caught up with her and brought through this report.
It's very fulfilling and joyous. In fact, since my 7 years of midwifery, today is my most fulfilling moment because I feel like I have saved a mother at her vulnerable state.
Adam Fatimata recounted what transpired in this 9-second amateur viral video taken inside a wall-bound fast-moving Sanyon bus.
At first, I was even panicking. I have been working in midwifery for 7 years, but when I encountered that case like that, I was panicking because I even didn't have protective garments to protect myself, like gloves and other things. But I had to use my bare hands to collect baby. I couldn't just sit and watch baby fall on the floor. I had to catch baby.
Adam Fatimata works at the Solo District Hospital as a midwife. She was on her way to work on a private commercial vehicle with 15 others, including a pregnant woman who was due for delivery and had been referred from the Kolmaha Chiefs compound to the Upper West Regional Hospital. The unnamed pregnant woman who joined the vehicle from Kolmaha in the Solatuna Calabar district began to complain of abdominal and back pains after traveling some handful of kilometers.
On our way, we didn't reach Ponyentanga and she started pushing, and I had to deliver her in the car. When we got to Ponyentanga Clinic, I made the car to branch there, and we took mother and baby inside the clinic for further care.
Mind you, 1/3 of the 15 passengers on the bus were men, yet her privacy could just not have been thrown to the dogs. Seats were exchanged for a few of the women to come closer to form a human curtain to protect her privacy.
Has anybody look at you and they can say, oh, Mommy Ness, come and help, or you just got voluntarily?
No, I was seated behind her, and the labor was ongoing, and she was crying and screaming and all that, and I felt uncomfortable. I felt her pain, in fact, and her relative who was sitting by her was holding her. And I had to exchange seats with someone who was closer to her to help her relative support her. But I realized that the baby's head was coming, and there was nothing I could do than to just collect the baby with my bare hands.
At that stage, was the vehicle moving or it has stopped?
Yes, the vehicle kept on moving. In fact, the passengers were, I don't know whether to say they were afraid. Some people even kept handkerchiefs and closed their noses, I think because of smell and other things. I didn't feel embarrassed. I was only feeling embarrassed for the woman because it was in a crowd and her privacy was exposed. I only felt bad for her, but me personally as a midwife, I didn't feel bad because I felt I was doing my job.
Adam Fatimata is happy that she's been able to save a life and has this message for colleague midwives.
Midwives are their friends. We are here to save lives, both mothers and babies' lives. So we'll continue to save lives. Midwives save lives.
Behind me is the Poyentang Health Center where the baby was brought. We tried to speak to authorities here, but they declined.
Though they conceded that both baby and mother were at the health center for close to an hour, we battled it out with authorities of the Poyentang Health Center to have access to them. We were made to make calls to the West District Director of Health Services, Cecilia Kakraba, but we met a stiff rejection from her. The unnamed mother and baby were later referred to the Upper West Regional Hospital for further medical examination and later discharged. In all this, one woman who also doubles as a midwife stands tall and needs to be celebrated for her bravery, tenacity, and commitment. She has at least saved the country to add on to her statistics of another maternal death.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam, Poyentanga.
And indeed, a very inspiring story of a woman who chanced on a situation and stepped in and saved a life, but also delivered a bouncing baby boy. Let's do sports now, and Musbao is here with the latest.
Yeah, Evans Mensah is the president of the Ghana Boxing Federation, Bernard Quarter. He's been speaking and bemoaning the seeming low attention and investment in boxing. And according to him, it says the sport indeed has the potential to change the fortunes of the country if given the needed attention and investment. And it's because of this, he's calling on the government to particularly pay attention to the national amateur boxing team, the Black Bombers, as they prepare for the African Boxing Championship in Cameroon this month.
Boxing has gone through struggles where board members have to even dispose of their vehicles, their private cars, to be able to, bring together their resources to invest in the boxing. So the question we ask, is it supposed to be like that? Because when you go the days back of Asuma Nelson, where Ghanaians were having sleepless nights, and they also passed through these struggles. So can't we change it a little bit and say that, look, the way the likes of Prince Amate, the likes of Senior Ikwoti, Joshua Kwoti and the rest, the way they went through, today we are putting the stop to it. So
That's Bernard Quarter, the president of the Ghana Boxing Federation, appealing for government support as the Black Bombers prepare for the African Championship in Cameroon. So that's it for sports, brought to you by Pepsodent Herbal and Chaco, and Pepsodent, every smile matters.
Well, the National Science and Maths quiz is back, and a Kumfi Amayel Senior High Technical School has beaten to Pop in Kranza SHS in an impressive but eventful style after garnering 19-point margin ahead of their closest contenders. Well, my colleague Emmanuel Braikweku was there and came to with his report.
The students of Ekunfi Ameya Senior High School, they just won their contest against Nkranza Senior High School. I can see you are excited.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited. My school, I've planned them well, I've trained them very well, and I believe they can do it, and they were able to show me that they will be able. Yeah, we are ready for the nationals. We are ready for the national. No school can challenge us. We are ready. No school can challenge us. We are Aztecans.
You want to meet Prempe?
Yeah.
Why Prempe?
Yes. Don't claiming they are. We want to meet them.
Yeah, want to meet them.
Whoever is there should
this
come.
year we are going to be the first school from Munafo. Okay, so going to the nationals, what should we expect from you?
Oh, you should expect a lot from us. At least we should reach the finals this year.
This year, Prempe, Preset, any other, they should relax. Aviator, next in the Aviator is winning the trophy for us.
Well, we'll see the final analysis, and this is the place to be for all things National Science and Maths quiz. And just before we go, the last day of May this year saw the demise of one of Africa's illustrious writers and activists, Ama Taredu. On today's edition of the Joy News Remembrance series, we bring you excerpts from her book, Diplomatic Pounds, read by veteran Ghanaian actor, culture activist, and filmmaker Akofa Gianni.
This is from Ama Taredu's Diplomatic Pounds and Other Stories. And here's an excerpt from New Lesson. That's why I'm actively wishing him ill with a nicely rounded female kiss, that he falls hopelessly in love with that young woman, whoever she is. That would complicate things very nicely for him, wouldn't it? And in the meantime, what I've got to admit is that whoever first said nowhere cool knew exactly what they were talking about. After all, much of the time, most of the places where we are likely to live on this earth are either hot, very hot, or cold, very cold, and cold and cool.